So for 2022, we're bringing back the Mach Z, as you all see here. We made some pretty big advancements and changes for 22, including the smart shocks that seems to have a lot of interest out here in Michigan, as well as the motor that has been revised to 180 horse from our previous 150 horse. Some of the woes that we had previously with the 900 turbo was complaints of the throttle, which we know is the ITC, which was the electronic throttle. We've now changed that to a cable throttle up here at the handlebars, and that goes down to a control box, the ITC box that is underneath the air box. It has a very short run over to the throttle bodies. So it is still electronic to the throttle body, but a much smaller run than what we had previously. And the cable throttle gives you a more responsive feel like what you get out of a two-stroke on any of the 850s or 600s previously. As I mentioned, the motor is up to 180 horse this year, and how did we do that, which seems to be the most common question, is we changed a few very key components. For 2022, we added a bigger injector to this motor. We changed the intercooler and increased the capacity and flow, which you'll see up in the front. We also changed the grill on the hood for better airflow for the intercooler. We have stiffened the motor mounts. We've changed some of the components within the P-drive clutch for the cup and the rollers. We've changed the intake runners. We've tightened up the exhaust a little bit and have really made this a much more responsive, put a smile on your face at the grip of the throttle. It's amazing. It's what a Mach Z should be, in my opinion. This motor just does it all. We retain the same turbo size that we've had since the previous on the 150. However, we did change the wheel inside the turbo, which helps us with the boost. This is making 17.4 pounds of boost wide open. This also has something called stutter, or two-step. I've heard all sorts of different names out here about it. And basically is a rev control that allows you to launch the sled at peak RPM and engagement. And it's fairly simple to operate. Using two hands, which I can't because I have the mic in my hand, you would hold in on the brake, hold up on the button. You will hear the sled go from 1600 to 2000 RPMs. Once it does, grab the throttle, put the throttle to the bar. As soon as you launch this brake, it will release from 3600s and launch the sled, 3600 RPMs and launch the sled. With the smart shocks are all in correlation with this because they understand all the movement of the sled at all points in time. So when you're in that launch mode and you're launching the sled, the smart shocks will actually compress to the rear, stiffen to the front, and allow the sled to launch and take off. The smart shocks read from all four positions: the two front arms, the two arms in the rear of the sled, the steering post, RPM, TPS, and mile an hour. So it's reading if you're turning, if you're launching, like we just started to talk about, if you're braking, if you're accelerating. It is ahead of the game and knows exactly what you're going to do and compensates for that and allows the sled to either stiffen and control your roll and pitch or articulate for a launch and then finally leveling out and dipping the front as you go farther forward in a straight line motion. The smart shocks have been in development for quite a long time. We've had them in our off-road field here for the last 3 years in the retail line, and there's a lot of people that will say, what's the reliability, what's going to happen to snow and ice? Yesterday I spoke with a gentleman that asked me that, and I just happened to see him pull in, and when he pulled in, I said, "You're driving that Denali pickup truck, right?" He goes, yeah, how'd you know? I said, "I saw you pull in." He goes, "What's that got to do with the smart shocks on the sled?" I said, "Well, that's got electromagnetic suspension in it." "Correct?" He says, "Yes." And I said, "All right, you drive that down the road, there's snow, ice, water, salt, sand, you name it, right?" "Yep." "You ever had a problem?" "Nope." I said, "Well, our testing with these has shown the same results for us. We've done our extensive homework and research with these in both the off-road and the snow field, and they have worked awesome. The sled does anything that you tell it to do with the push of this simple button right here on the console. It's labeled as Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. Comfort being the softest range of suspension riding, equivalent to what we'll say an Enduro is, which is the blue sled over here with the air ride. Sport will take you up to that XRS level, and then Sport Plus is even beyond that as far as stiffness. It isn't just a soft, medium, hard, as a lot of customers have referred to it with me as. It is a soft, hard, and harder adjustment, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus. However, in Comfort, it will constantly adjust compression and rebound, as it will in Sport and Sport Plus. So it's not just soft. There's a spectrum in comfort where it's constantly adjusting compression and rebound. When you go to Sport, it's a little stiffer, constantly adjusting compression and rebound. And Sport Plus, the same thing, even stiffer, but constantly adjusting compression and rebound. This sled will change the shocks up to 50 times a second if it needs to, all depending upon what the sled is calling for. Again, dictated by your throttle, your braking, the roll and the pitch of the sled, the acceleration. It understands every single bit of it, and it reacts to everything you do with it. I've ridden the Smart Shock sled a good amount, and after getting back on my 21 and getting on a Smart Shock and getting on a 21, I asked myself how I ever went without it. It is the most amazing advancement, in my opinion, since E-Tech for the two-stroke engine. It is awesome. Back to the Mach Z. The Mach Z comes, as you see it right here, with Smart Shocks. Your only option with a Mach Z is your track choice. You can either get a 125 ice ripper in a single ply, or a 125 Ripsaw 2-ply that you can stud yourself. No matter what track you get, it is going to come with tunnel protectors already in the sled, right out of the crate for you. This particular one, just to answer the question before we get it, the grips and the knee pads you see on it are accessories that we accessorized it with. However, the smoked handguards and windshield that you see on it are proprietary to the Mach Z only. This comes with the 7.8 dash, which was new for 2021, along with the R-Motion X and RazX suspension that is now across our line in all of our models. In 2021, it was in our spring order issues only in the X and XRS for the trail lineup, in MXZ and Renegade, and now it is in all our models across the board as far as the trail segment goes, negating the backcountry, the free ride, the summit, the deep snow segment. All the sleds this year for 22 are going to come with the link brackets that you see right here. So moving forward, if you buy a link accessory bag, you'll have to buy brackets if you don't have a 22 or newer. If you have a 22, you can just buy your accessory and it goes right on. When you trade the sled in, you don't need to worry about taking your brackets off. You just take your bag or your gas can, whatever you might have. You put it in the corner. When your 23 comes, you set it on and you go. We've got a really nice new accessory for the links, all the link accessories. We have a link lock, which is on the Renegade Adrenaline over here, the black sled. If you look at the top bag that's on there, that has a link lock, not allowing you to take it off without a key. You can buy them in packs of 2 or 4, and they both come keyed the same. So whether you get 2 locks or 4 locks, for you and your buddy, you and your wife, you name it, you can have the keys. If somebody loses a key or isn't good with that stuff, you got them covered because they're all keyed the same. The Mach Z obviously comes with a bigger seat here, or the seat that you can buy as an accessory called the comfort seat, which all of our 4-stroke models do, with the exception of Enduro. All of the Enduros come with the comfort seat because all the Enduros, whether they're 2-stroke or 4-stroke, come with the wide body design that you see there. I think I've covered everything here.